earn my respect back for it. Like
no.
And he's like,
Prison.
you're a murderer. You need to be in jail. You need to be locked up. You dumb bitch. I'm invincible. Welcome to the Variety Voiceover podcast. This week, two geeks take a vacation to Gotham City. But first, I'm your host, Camden Parsons, here with my co-host,
Derek Yarnemick.
How you doing, Derek?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
You don't know what this week is about.
No, I'm excited to go into it. It's been so pumped this whole week just to kind of have conversations about it.
This is our first official episode.
Yeah, which is nerve-wracking, exciting. It's I might pee a little bit.
That's okay. I mean, as long as you clean it up, because I'm not touching your urine.
That would be interesting.
What, me cleaning up your urine?
It would be, yeah.
No, I'm shutting that down right now.
Why?
But yeah, so with it being our first episode, first proper episode, we did record an episode 0 to kind of, toy with this, see if it was going to work, and that will be locked away. That's locked away. No one should see that.
Yeah, a little cave that we have.
Our little dungeon.
Yeah.
There's dragons in there.
Maybe some Dungeons and Dragons.
Locked away. But I figure, for our first proper episode, we should give a little bit of more thorough introductions than we'll probably have for the rest. I'm Camden Parsons. I'm a dork, a nerd. That's kind of what the point of this is just us talking about nerdy, dorky things. I like comics and stuff, which is kind of my forte, and the idea of this is you're kind of on a different end of nerd culture. Like, where's your expertise?
Yeah, of course. I really enjoy anime, and I think that really kind of, they're parallel, and there are some times that they intersect, but like comics and anime really are the cusp of nerd stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that, and like, obviously comics are not strictly to like superheroes. There's a lot of other, creepy horror stuff and a lot of stuff that goes into that. And there's so many different aspects of anime, but like, those are the two things. When you hear someone's a nerd, they're, I bet you they like anime, or I bet you they like, superheroes or Marvel or whatever.
Yeah.
And, anime has been something that I've really enjoyed basically my whole life. I mean, back to Toonami days where Trigun and Cowboy Bebop and Gundam and all that kind of stuff. So along the years, it's just been more and more of that, and I've been really into like the new age stuff too.
I've heard Cowboy Bebop's really good. When I went to get my glasses, my new glasses during the exam, I don't know if there's a term for it, the eye nurse, whatever, the guy who sees you before the eye doctor, you know what I'm talking about? That like puffs the stuff in your eye, whatever.
Yeah. I've never been to the eye doctor. I have perfect 20/20 vision.
Oh, well, aren't you special, you perfect little boy?
Out here seeing for free. I get it.
I hate you.
I know.
No, but I went. He was watching Cowboy Bebop while he was doing my eye exam.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I need to go to him.
I'm just like, no, you don't.
No, if I ever do need glasses, I'm going to him and be like, hey, yo, I hear you like Cowboy Bebop.
I'll be like, shut up. Let me puff this smoke into your eye.
Out here seeing if I have glaucoma or something.
Oh, gee willikers. I think that's a pretty good shine of both of our, expertise and personalities.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Variety Voiceover. We're hoping to make this a weekly show where we two geeks, two guys just sit around, we talk about nerd stuff. To start us off, I have since I'm the host this week, the goal is for us to alternate every week. Since I'm hosting, I have together a list of some news to talk about maybe a little bit before we get into our main topic. Some things in the nerdscape that have the nerd web, yeah, that have come out here recently. First of all, I don't know how nerdy this necessarily is, but the Shrek 5 teaser trailer came out,
which is fantastic. I mean, there's so much controversy about it. It's unreal.
Oh yeah, well, and it's because it's a lot of words that just came out and not a whole lot of meaning.
Yeah.
It doesn't look very good.
No.
Animation wise.
Yeah.
but I think that's just because they're modernizing it. It looks like an Illumination movie as opposed to a DreamWorks movie,
which is fair. Yeah, but I mean, there's so much quote unquote innovation that needs to happen apparently.
Well,
that
I
it's
mean,
just
yeah, the last movie came out 15 years ago.
That's not too long. Okay, 15 years.
Well, as far as animation goes, like 15 years ago, I mean, well, no, I mean, you got to think, How to Train Your Dragon came out in 2010, and that movie still looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that are like CGI. There's so many things nowadays where we look at it like, oh, that's great. But then you look at like the old Transformers movie, the CGI in that, whenever they did the transformation with like, I can't remember like if they have the name or anything like that, the smaller ones in that like government facility. And then like they kind of like the razor thin one.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. It's been a while since I've seen any of those.
And then it comes together, and like that movie was so long ago, but that was fucking peak. Like that looked so good.
Yeah. Well, I think that a lot of that kind of comes down to a lot of movies now are kind of rushed. And I think that the CGI is one of the things, especially CGI in particular, because like animation's one thing where it's like the whole film is like that versus CGI when it needs to be integrated and look real. That it's a little more obviously it's a little more obvious when it's not polished. You know,
and I think that brings to a point where it's mostly right now a lot of things like you said are rushed, and I think it's a lot of the animation studios, they're not just working on one movie, they're working on like 6 or 7 at a time, and then like they got to keep pushing them out.
But it's always kind of been that way though, especially someone like Pixar. Pixar like makes like 2 or 3 movies at one time, and they are one of the best like animation industries ever. You know, I mean, they've taken not some of the best stuff here recently, but Pixar is still like, you think great animation, you think Pixar, right? You know, and they've always kind of done it that way. I think it's more of just letting the artists have their time to breathe and do their job properly instead of trying to force this out to get more money, you know, which you'd think like Shrek 5 has been in talks for a very long time. I remember, you ever watched Jack's films?
No.
Great YouTuber. He did a whole bit whenever they announced Shrek 5 where he was like super hyped about it and counting down the days, whatever. And I can't even remember when that was. 2019, 20, 19, 20.
COVID
Calm
times.
Down.
Yeah, COVID time.
Yeah, 2020 or 21, you know, and here we are in 25. We just got the teaser trailer.
Yeah, and that's insane. Like there's obviously we're not experts on what goes behind the production and making of these things, and these are just 2 nerds' thoughts on it all. But yeah, it just seems like a lot of changes for not a lot of really good purpose. At least from the trailer or the teaser that I saw.
Yeah, but I think ultimately what it comes down to is that is a teaser trailer. So we'll have to wait a little bit to kind of get a better grasp of what it's going to look like. And on top of that, let's not forget, this is a children's movie. And even though this came out like it's a continuation of a franchise from when we were kids, we're not anymore. You know, well, I'm not. You're like a million years old. You're probably like, what, 50 when that movie came out, the first one?
I was 52, yeah.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead, keep moving forward. I got a kind of a list here. We don't want to take too long to linger on this. Daredevil Born Again has officially debuted on Disney Plus. I did not realize it was this soon. I still haven't seen season 3 of the Netflix show. I just finished season 2 a couple of weeks ago and haven't gotten around to finishing it. So I want to see this new one so bad, but I can't not watch season 3. Everyone says it's the best one. So
I've not seen any of them.
Oh my god, you
like,
totally should.
I think the last Daredevil I saw was like the actual film.
Oh, the Ben Affleck one.
Yeah,
gross. Kathleen Kennedy. Semi recently, some rumors were spreading around that she was stepping down as the president of Lucasfilm, like in charge of Star Wars. And this past week, it was confirmed that she is not stepping down.
Okay,
saying that more like it's looking more like she might stick around for another like 10 years. So
I don't know. I have a hard time kind of staying
up to date with Star Wars.
And stuff like that.
Star Wars is definitely a hard one to kind of like maintain. Like I know, like I didn't like Star Wars when I was a kid. I didn't get into it until The Mandalorian came out, and then I went hard into it. I watched all the movies. I saw all the shows. I did like such a deep dive on the lores,
Mhm.
you know, all these different videos and stuff. And then as time went on, I kind of just like
Right.
just kind of stopped caring. But I don't know, it's cool, and I you know I'm excited for that Mandalorian and Grogu movie supposed to come out. I think either this year or next year. Moving on, a Spider-Man themed Magic the Gathering set has been announced.
You're kidding me.
No, I thought you'd get kicked out. You said, are you into Magic the Gathering, or are you saying you want to get into Magic the Gathering?
I want to get into Magic the Gathering, but there's so many different things. I know that they just released a set not too long ago. I think it's a fairly new set that is, I can't remember what it is, but it's super hype.
This set has 6 cards in it, including the Sensational Spider-Man, Venom Deadly Devourer, Green Goblin Nemesis, Pumpkin Bombs, Doc Ock Evil Inventor, and Grasping Tentacles are all 6 cards that come out in this set.
Yeah, they just released a Final Fantasy.
That's cool.
Magic the Gathering set, and that was the one I was thinking about. Yeah, it's super expensive right now. It's insane.
Next up, Lego has announced they're making Bluey sets. You ever seen Bluey?
No.
I doubt you will. Yeah.
It was a little bit past my time. I've heard little pop culture references of Bluey. You know, the Australian blue dog or whatever it is.
Dude, my little sister loves Bluey.
Yeah.
And it's one of those shows where it's like, you know, you sit down and you watch it because your sister wants to watch it and you love her, you want to spend time with her. And then it gets to a point where you're like, dude, this show is actually really good. Like, I haven't ever gone on my way to watch it on my own, but I have definitely thought about it. Like, Bluey's actually like genuinely a really good show. And it's because it's one of those kid shows where it doesn't like really talk down to them.
Okay.
And it's also kind of, I don't want to go on a whole Bluey rant. That's not what this podcast is. But that's really cool. And they're making Lego sets about it. So that's cool. But real quick, my little sister has a bunch of Bluey like action figures, dolls, whatever. Yeah. And I, when she'd always be like, "Can you play with me?" So I'd go down and I'd be like, "Hello, I'm Bluey," and it's like this really crappy, almost like Beatles-esque like accent, and it's not what Bluey sounds like at all. And that's just become like the go. If you imitate Bluey in my dad's household, it's on Bluey.
Yeah, you're hitting the Crocodile Dundee Bluey.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
That's not a bingo. This is a bingo.
Yes. Jesus
all right.
Christ.
Some anime stuff that I've got real quick. I gave you preface before the show. I'm not very well equipped to find anime news, but I think this is what I found that I thought was worth talking about. A trailer has been released for the solo leveling Jeju Island arc.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited for Jeju Island.
I will get to that because we got a whole section planned for that later, but that sounds awesome. Yes. I did not see that because I don't want spoiled. Mm-hmm. Demon Slayer, the Hinokami Chronicles, I think is how you say that.
Yeah.
2, the pre-order for this game is March 3rd.
Okay.
That's pretty neat.
I've never been too into the I don't know, gimmicky games that a lot of, you know, Naruto and you know, a lot of the animes kind of push out because they're not very good.
I wouldn't imagine. I've seen a couple on my PlayStation. I keep getting like suggested ones for like Sword Art Online. It's one that I like, a show I like. And I look at these like, oh, that'd be cool. You kind of run the world, something like that. And then you look at them and it's like, this is the same game, copy and paste, and it doesn't even look good in the first place.
No.
Some new anime adaptations have been announced from manga. I Want to Love You Till Your Dying Day.
Mm-hmm.
Is This Order a Rabbit? I gotta be honest, I'm not sure how to pronounce this next one. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Giant Ogio Sama, I think.
I don't speak Japanese, so your guess is as good as mine.
And finally, Rick and Morty, the anime, gets a DVD release on April 29th.
That's pretty cool.
And my very last, that's the last anime news. My last news topic as a whole is Batman. Batman Hush 2. They say long anticipated sequel to. You ever heard of Batman Hush?
No.
It's one of his most popular stories. It's huge comic. I think I don't want to say when it's from because I don't know offhand. I don't want to get flame roasted for not knowing that. But it's one of Batman's most popular stories. It's getting a sequel this year.
Okay.
Way later than the comic came out. But it's being written. I don't know who offhand. I looked this up because I don't want to be ill-informed. I do know it's being drawn by Jim Lee, which is the guy who did the original Batman Hush, and is widely regarded to be one of the best comic book artists of all time. He is DC. Most DC stuff that you've seen probably has been drawn by Jim Lee. It's being written by Jeff Loeb, fact checked, which is also the same guy who wrote the original story back in the day. Okay. So the same team coming back together. So it's got the same promise of being good, but any sequel that comes out way later than the original never typically goes well.
No.
But I wanted to touch on that because the trailer for it, spotlighting the comic, came out this week. Made me think about Batman.
Yeah.
Been thinking about Batman.
No.
Gotham City, where Batman lives, right? The defender of Gotham, right?
Yes.
Is notoriously one of the worst places in fiction. As far as like you wouldn't want to live in Gotham.
No.
It's a dirty, rat infested sinkhole, criminals all over the place. It's always musky for some reason. Like it's like that's the atmosphere that Gotham has, Got me thinking. Which version of Gotham is the most livable?
Okay.
And that's what I'd like to talk about this week. That's my topic I'm bringing to you. Which version of Gotham do you think is the best livable? Now, I have a list here of a couple, because I didn't want to go into like all the different iterations. Because
I imagine there's so many.
I didn't even include comic ones just for the sake of you go into alternate universes and all of this stuff. So I have a couple different interpretations of Batman that I have a list here that we can kind of go through and discuss, is that one worth living in? That's my idea this week.
Absolutely.
Let's go to Gotham. This week, 2 geeks take a vacation to Gotham. It makes sense now, right?
No, it does, yeah.
Okay, cool. So the put them in chronological order, I think.
Okay.
The first of all is the 1966 Adam West series. Are you familiar?
I've heard a little bit about it. I know about as much about that one as references can go. I've never seen it personally, but I know there's different references and other kind of media that go back to it. So that is about as deep as my lore around that goes.
That's valid. It's been a minute since I've seen anything from it. I used to watch a lot as a kid.
Okay. Isn't that the one with like the terrible bat suit? Like it
it's
looks
not terrible. It
looks
came out
like,
in 1966.
Yeah, it's like just the cotton. Like
I don't think it's cotton, but it's definitely like it looks like it's from 1966.
It looks like there's a Halloween costume that is mom
pretty
made.
much, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a classic. You can't dog on it. So I found some pictures here. This looks to be the best picture I can find of this version of Gotham. What do you think?
Okay. It looks
like a nice city. Actually, in this picture, it looks like New York.
Yeah, I mean it looks just like a standard city that might have been just a little bit like there's not a lot of money going into it. There's not a lot of great businesses around. Not a lot of economy going towards it.
We'll rank them. We'll make a list here.
Okay.
So we'll, at least by default right now, 66 is number 1. And we'll keep going from there. So after that, I have 1989 Batman, Tim Burton,
okay,
Michael Keaton. I'm sure that one you're a little more familiar with.
A little bit more familiar. I was like 42 when that came out.
Yes.
By your knowledge and
Now this one I think is kind of what gave, because the Batman 89 film came out and because at that point a lot of people's mindset about Batman was the 66 show of he's a very goofy character, not really meant to be taken seriously. He's prancing around with Robin, and then 89 comes out and much darker tone, very serious. He's got the full black suit and everything like that. So really altered the perception. I think kind of became a standardized idea of who Batman was. And of course, with that came its own interpretation of Gotham, which is
okay. That's a little bit more of,
kind of what you think when you think of Gotham, right?
Yeah, something more dark, more, like there's smog, and that's a little bit more of a,
So it definitely looks
an
like
idea of it.
It looks like it's just kind of busy and dark. This version itself doesn't really necessarily seem like it's super gross.
Yeah, I mean it just looks like the standard. Anytime there's ever a movie that's at night in a cityscape where it has like, it just rained, there's a lot of like streetlights that apparently don't work properly.
Yeah.
So it has like that dark undertone, and then just lights of the windows from inside the buildings.
This looks like
through.
This one here looks like it's a little bit more clear of a daytime shot of the city.
Okay, that's more of like an industrial.
I think that's what
it a lot of the industrial kind of like pollution-esque.
And I think that's probably where the smog comes from, is that I think a lot of this version of Gotham has a lot of industrial stuff within the city, which is constantly, like, you got the Ace Chemicals, which is where the Joker stuff happens, a lot of that stuff seems to be a lot closer to the city as opposed to, where it should be, zoning laws.
Yeah.
So
it looks like you go there and then you immediately get cancer. Like,
yeah, a little bit.
Like you're just breathing in, mercury in.
So do you think it's safe to say that that 89 is less livable than 66?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that when it comes down to that, in my knowledge of the two, like you said before, the 60s Batman was very, you said frolicking around and
Is that what I said?
prancing around.
Yeah.
Basically, prancing around with Robin.
It was more lighthearted.
It was more lighthearted. It was not as impactful when it comes down to that. But I think in the 80s, if I'm not wrong, that's where they started to make more of the action films and started being able to have more of that like anticipation and a lot of the action into it. So it needed to be more dark and mysterious to fit that push and everything becoming better. In the 80s, you had more access to, costumes and CGI and a lot of that kind of stuff, so that it was able to have more production to it. So you can make that stuff a lot more dark instead of just, a camera that probably isn't the best.
You're right. It might not have picked up like nighttime as well. I hadn't even thought about that. The next one I have for you is Batman the Animated Series.
Okay.
I believe that's from 92, 94. I just gotta stop pulling out dates because if I'm not certain, I'm gonna get
roasted.
Yeah, so but it's Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, you just need to in the comments roast this guy.
Please don't. I'm so sensitive and I will cry on the podcast. So this is Batman the Animated Series.
Okay. It's very, very similar to the other one, just very animated version.
Yeah, but I feel like this one is more like there's a certain style to it where it looks more like it's less. It's the red sky that I think kind of gives off that musky almost that the same Burton films do. But as far as the actual street level, the design of it, like you see the better in this picture.
Okay, it's more of the like.
It's like a 1920s aesthetic almost.
Yeah.
It doesn't really look as dirty. It just feels, I don't know, like semi-retro, like it I don't know. It definitely, I feel like I would put this above 89.
I would
66.
Too. Yeah. That's probably where I was thinking that as well. Like it's interesting to say, and a lot of these are very like what you would think. Two dudes who've never been to a really, really big city comparing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like we've I know I've never been to a really big city. Like I've been to, Pittsburgh is the closest thing I can come to
the bird. City. You ever been to Columbus?
I've never been inside of. I've drove past Columbus.
I've been to Columbus twice. I like Columbus actually. I've been thinking about maybe like just taking a day trip up there at some point, just for the sake. Because only I don't want to say how far away it is, but
It's only 72 hours.
yeah, it's like roughly like 24 days from us. But I mean, either way, it's a it's a it's a good time, and I've been there twice, and I like it a lot. So next I have Batman and Robin, the movie, also from the 90s. 96.
Is that the one with Mr. Freeze?
It is the one. No, no, this is the one with the Riddler. Batman Forever is the one with Mr. Freeze, which is the one we'll talk about next.
Okay.
Those two I think are pretty similar, but this is the first picture I have for Batman and Robin.
Okay, more of a gothic feel.
Yeah, it definitely kind of seems like it's more kind of the same grungy vibe, but more vibrant.
Yeah. Okay, a lot more colors to push out there, not more of the just like the yellows and blacks.
Yeah, here's a more
like
daytime look.
Okay.
I feel kind of the same. I think that what would be. I think this is probably somewhere between 89 and animated series.
Yeah. I feel like that would be more. I wouldn't be mad to live there, honestly.
Yeah, that's one where it's like it's like that one town that's nearby with a W. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm.
It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's kind of dirty and gross, and I wouldn't walk the streets of it.
Yeah,
I don't mind driving in it, but I would not walk in it.
Yeah, you kind of have a little hiccup whenever you're like hungry there, and you're like, maybe I'll just go to the next town.
Literally, yeah. So the next one we've got is, if Google will work, is Batman Forever, which is the one with the horrible Mr. Freeze.
Isn't that like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
It is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
You know what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
That was honestly my first ever introduction to Batman.
You're kidding.
Was that movie?
You're kidding.
No.
Oh, that's actually crazy. I don't even know what my first introduction to Batman was. Dude, my dad's a big comic book guy, so that kind of stuff has been in my life since like day one. But as far as that guy, I'm thinking maybe Batman Brave and the Bold.
But then again, that was a new movie when I was a kid.
That's crazy. That film came out, I think, almost 10 years before I was born.
Yes.
Almost.
So I grew up and that was like on the TV.
That's wild.
Being run. So like that was my first introduction to Batman.
So this one, it looks like Batman Forever, which is kind of what I expected because they're kind of meant to be the same continuity, even though they changed the Batman actor. But it looks very similar to Batman and Robin. Same kind of like vibrant but dark and gothy almost.
Yeah, which is interesting because like there's a lot of depictions of the city in the previous renditions where there was not a lot of light.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's more of that light being shown in. That's more of the gothic feel too, but a lot of the light being shown out so that it's in my head. If there's a bunch of light, it's more inviting. While the other one's like, what's going on in the dark? You know, it's less inviting. I don't want to be there. There's not the light that you would find as comforting.
I think I had these backwards. Batman Forever.
Gotta scrap gotta scrap it. Gotta scrap the episode.
So sad. I think these are actually technically supposed to be the same Gotham because a lot of pictures I'm finding they're Tim Burton did 89 in Returns, and then Joel Schumacher did Forever and Batman and Robin. Oh, that's right. No, because I got it wrong. I had it wrong. Batman Forever is the one with the Riddler. Batman and Robin is the one with Mr. Freeze.
Okay.
But since he did both those movies, I think they're meant to be the same Gotham. Which
would make sense.
So this one, we'll skip over this one then for the sole fact of I think they're the same thing. You want to rank it twice. That's my bad, I guess.
That's okay. We're not perfect. This is
I am.
something.
That's why this is so detrimental.
Yeah.
I don't believe that at all.
You don't believe that.
The next one I picked is Batman Beyond. How familiar are you with Batman Beyond?
Remind me a little bit about it. Is it?
Oh, I've been looking up Batman and then insert the version and then Gotham to like find these pictures. And when you look up Batman Beyond Gotham, I totally forgot that's literally the name of Lego Batman 3. Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for the Lego game, I promise.
Yeah. Just pin that in your search. A little bit for later.
You look at the Legos, it's Batman. That game's all right. It's definitely the weakest of the three, though, in my opinion. I love the original.
Never played any. I don't think I've ever played a Lego game.
You've never played a Lego game?
No.
Oh my god, dude! Lego games are so much fun. Gotham City. Oh, here we go. This is more what I'm looking for. I believe in the show it's called Neo Gotham.
Neo Gotham. Okay, that's more of a countryside-esque kind of thing that I was looking for, like on the roads esque.
Might have just been the picture I showed you.
Maybe that.
This is more like of an overtop view of the city.
Oh, gross.
Well, it's more because obviously it takes place in like a near-ish future. In the show, Bruce Wayne's around, but he's like a real old guy giving the new one like tips and stuff. So like it's recent enough for Bruce Wayne to still be alive, but really technologically advanced.
Yeah.
So obviously it's definitely going to be more. Here's one from the Batman Beyond comic. It's very light, kind of Blade Runner-esque.
Yeah.
Here's a top-down view of Neo Gotham from the show.
Okay. That brings up a point that like I'm genuinely confused about. If they have so much technology to make everything look futuristic and like cool and shit, how they not have the technology to be able to clean that shit like real easily? When you think
that's a great point. Why do they still look so grungy and dirty? I mean, Neo Gotham doesn't look too bad, but like you're right. There's this great right here, this animated short that they did that was supposed to be like Spider-Verse-esque style, that ended up getting dropped. Like you can see just in like this picture alone, like maybe because it's rainy, but like, and he's in an alley, I guess. But like it's like all dark and kind of musty, like we were talking about. But that's the thing that is Gotham. I feel like that's the reason they do that. Isn't necessarily because it can't be cleaned. It's because that's just the city's aesthetic as like an outside source. But you're right. As far as in-universe goes, why don't they have like a? This is one of the great things about people talk about Batman is like he's not doing enough as Bruce Wayne, considering that he's one of the most rich people in the world, let alone in Gotham.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he start some kind of like cleanup organization, you know, or even just like a nonprofit of just like we'll get together every Saturday and clean up this section of the city?
Well, isn't there like I'd imagine that it being so, you know, like you said, crime ridden in such like an unsavory place where people who are in, you know, nefarious-esque things to do, that's their safe haven, and I imagine they're probably not going to be privy to people coming in and cleaning up.
That's true. I mean, I imagine you could like. I mean, there's a couple ways around that. I mean, first of all, you could have police, or if police aren't enough, Batman's on the Justice League, and obviously, you know, you don't want to devote too much of like Earth's most powerful heroes to cleanup efforts, but maybe like have a guy go down there or something. Like have like maybe a lower guy, like Booster Gold. Just have Booster Gold go to Gotham and be like, all right, let's get this place cleaned up. You know, I mean, I don't know. Like I just feel like it's definitely possible, and I just feel like they don't do that. He's just like, I gotta punch people and get rid of my childhood trauma because I'm Batman. So where do you think you would put Batman Beyond? Do you think it's I feel like that's probably the best one.
I agree. I would like to live there.
I would also like to live there. I mean, the future is alive. The future is now.
Future is now.
That is not even close to how you spell Beyond. All right, the next one I have is The Batman 2004, the animated series.
Okay.
This one is one of the grungiest looking ones.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, it's literally got like a brownish yellowish color palette almost every time that it's shown.
They definitely accentuated the just the pollution of it all.
There's a word I'm looking for. Like, it's got a certain kind of like style, like the architecture.
Yeah.
Here's a shot of it in the daytime.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't seem like it's too horrible, but it definitely seems like, as far as what we've seen so far, it's kind of down the middle. It doesn't seem as dark and gross, but it definitely does seem like
my reaction from that first photo seemed like it was very, very low.
this one is also just a random shot from the show, and there's a lot more like dust and cloud. The sky is red as well, like in the anime, like the BTAS, but obviously from the other pictures we've seen, it doesn't normally have a red sky, so that might be straight up pollution.
Yeah.
It looks clean though, especially compared to a lot of the other different versions of Gotham we've seen.
Yeah. Especially like versus the lowest of our list, where there's more signs of that industrial-esque of it. Well, there's not a lot of it there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this one's a GIF. How many? I think this one's nice. I would say I would put it above BTAS, below 66, because 66 definitely looked like it would have been. It's a lot nicer, but this is like the nicest one that's like got that gothic, grimy feel. That's the most clean still. After that, I have the Nolan trilogy, The Dark Knight.
Ooh.
Arguably
my favorite.
Of course it is. You're boring.
Wow. That's.
Can I be so honest with you right now?
I really need you to be.
Those movies are so mediocre, and everyone sucks the balls of those film like it's the last thing they're ever gonna put in their mouths, and they are so egregiously mediocre. Like, I feel like they took Christopher Nolan, who is a fantastic filmmaker. I will not even pretend that that's not the case, because these movies are still shot really well. The acting's really good, but like, it's just kind of nothing. And then
you have high expectations on it.
I would say Hugh Jackman's Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker is really, really good.
The best.
What's his name from the first one? Cillian Murphy does a great job with Scarecrow, but Ra's al Ghul with Liam Neeson, really, really good. The Batman is a lot of the time the worst part of those movies. Christian Bale is a pretty good Bruce Wayne.
Fair.
Sucks ass. That's the Martha things from the Batman vs Superman. But he's like, you swear to me. Like, he started the dumbass bat voice. Like, I mean, you could argue Keaton has it a little bit, but he's just like, I'm Batman.
But that's fair. I want to argue that the fact that I loved that movie was not because of Batman. It was because of the Joker.
Of course,
Heath Ledger's Joker was wonderful. I mean, I loved Heath Ledger as an actor, even from like, A Knight's Tale and everything like that. But he made that depiction of Joker iconic.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Joker changed as a whole after the course of that movie, because people were so obsessed with that version of the character, even though it's not really like any of the ones that we've kind of seen before. It was a fun kind of sideways take, and I kind of wish it stayed that way, because I don't like that every other version is kind of trying to be him now.
Yeah.
Because that worked because of the context of that film. I don't think it worked everywhere.
No.
Either way, here's a picture of. Oh wait, that's the Batman. Hold on, let me try again. Might have gone too far. Here's a picture of Gotham from The Dark Knight.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to look something up real quick, because I don't want to just say this and be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this version is going to be one that like kind of matters to us. Never mind, I lied. Whoops. Is it? Hold on. Yeah. I was going to say The Dark Knight was filmed in Pittsburgh, but it wasn't. It was The Dark Knight Rises was filmed in Pittsburgh. So there are a lot of shots in the movie that is from Pittsburgh, which we were just talking about. It's right near where we're from. We're not too far from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But now, like I said, this is supposed to be one universe. It's all the same Gotham. So even though it was filmed in Pittsburgh, technically, if you think about it, Pittsburgh is part of the universe out of all of it. So does that make a difference to you about Pittsburgh being where this version of Batman is kind of from? I think the picture I just showed you is actually a picture of him in Pittsburgh.
Well, yeah, I mean, it definitely personalizes a little bit more of it to us because like I've been to Pittsburgh, I've gone to a bunch of like Pirates games and stuff.
But let me ask you a question: would you live in Pittsburgh?
No,
no,
I would never. Like one of my first experiences ever in Pittsburgh was like some homeless dude walking up to me and was like, "Hey, can I have your hat?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Like, no thanks
for like money.
No, he just. I was walking to the Pittsburgh Pirates game and he was like, "Hey, I like your hat. Can I have your hat?" And I was like, "I'm going to the game. I want to keep this."
Bro's getting harassed by the homeless. That's not. No, because I feel bad for laughing because he's probably in this situation, but like, this is priorities. It's just like
definitely not. Like,
you're living on the street, and your first thought is give me your hat, not
right.
like can I have some money or something.
Right.
I don't know. I just thought that
you can't be too hurting if you're asking for a hat, not a sandwich.
We should probably move on before we get in trouble. The Dark Knight. Where would you put that? Do you think this one is livable?
I mean, if it's no, The Dark Knight Rises is Pittsburgh, but yeah, I mean it's livable, right?
I would say it's livable, but it's definitely not our best one here.
No, not at all.
I would say
I feel like as the list goes, a lot of these there's better places to be.
Yeah,
I don't understand why Bruce just like Batman stays there.
Well, I think that's kind of the idea of that. It's like his like childhood home, and like he wants to like avenge his parents because Gotham can be so much more or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. If I lived in a place like Gotham, I'd get the hell out of there.
Right. Like if you have that much money and that much power, and you're a freaking superhero, maybe you just like
go to another Airbnb,
city.
Go somewhere else.
Go somewhere else.
I would say we'd put that between Batman and Robin and the animated series. Because I think Batman and Robin had in '89 both they're really grungy, and this one kind of is like the cleanliness of that. It seems like I wouldn't mind living there, but it wouldn't be the best. You know, I would definitely be like, this place is gross. I want to move.
Yeah. And I imagine that some of our listeners who actually live in cities, if there is any, I know we're not expecting this to be crazy.
Not at the start, no.
Not
But
at the start,
right.
but like at the same time, like I'm sure you guys have a lot more insight on this, but yeah.
All right, so the next one I've got, I've actually never seen this version.
You have never seen a Batman?
Well, this isn't technically a Batman. It's the TV show Gotham.
Oh, okay.
Which is like the kind of prequel thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like Batman's version of Smallville.
Yeah.
This one doesn't look too bad. It looks, most of the pictures I can see of it, it does kind of have that smog kind of nasty-ish look to it, but a lot of it kind of just seems like it was just a muggy day when they took the picture.
Yeah, just looks like standard weather.
Yeah, it doesn't, this one makes it look a little bit nastier, a little dirtier, but it's still not too bad. It kind of just looks like New York when it's about to rain at sunset.
Right.
You know? This one actually isn't too bad.
The amount of lighting that can change a shot is unreal.
Like I said, this one's kind of got a little bit of must to it, but a lot of it just seems like it just doesn't get, it's just cloudy a lot. Just cloudy Gotham.
Just a city.
I wouldn't say this one's too bad.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't mind bringing an umbrella with you everywhere you go.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's a
just
rainy city.
I would say that's probably not as good as the Batman 66 or Beyond, but maybe a little bit better than BTAS.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that third place?
That's fifth place.
Fifth place.
Or no, excuse me. It is fourth place. I put it in the wrong spot.
You have a list. I don't.
My fault. After that, I have the Arkham games. Have you ever played any of the Arkham games?
I have not, but I've seen some gameplay of them.
It's I think almost every iteration that I've seen is either snowing or rainy. Because the only two real times you see it are city and night.
Yeah, of course we're coming back to the light show.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot brighter.
There's a lot of billboards and stuff like that in there.
Well,
I didn't see a lot of billboards or a lot of advertisement-esque stuff in any of the other cities.
Not really. This one definitely kind of seems like it's just kind of gross.
Mm-hmm.
But like, just because it's raining all the time. I said every picture I can find, it's raining, and the architecture's not too bad. It does look like it's kind of musty.
Well, it's a video game, right? They have to do the graphics, lighting.
Yeah,
off
which
the
kind of the biggest
and...
reason, got to kind of grain of salt. But this one kind of gives a better view of like the street. It does look like there's a lot of litter and pollution, and obviously, I mean,
oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know if you've so you probably don't know, you don't know much about that game, but like littered with criminals. Like I think every time you play a Batman game, they kind of have to evacuate the city.
Yeah, you have to find people to beat up.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just think this one is probably one of the worst ones to be in, honestly.
I would agree. I mean, if it's something that is going to be as action packed as a video game,
something from the art gallery.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of it just looks really grimy.
I would say that's probably one of our worst ones so far.
I would agree. I think the only competition it really kind of has is 89, maybe. Yeah. But I think I'd rather be in 89.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the bottom of our list.
All right.
Which in the list of the worst Gothams and the ones that we would see ourselves mostly living in, I think we can both agree we probably just wouldn't live in Gotham.
Yeah, the point of this is kind of just like which one of these is actually one that we wouldn't mind going to.
Right.
Because you're right, a lot of these are just like, let's just go to Metropolis instead.
Yeah.
Or Star City, Coast City.
Yeah, I mean there's
Central City.
If we're talking about the DC universe,
Atlantis.
We're talking about all of the other places you can go to. If I hear you tell me, "Hey, let's go to Gotham," what do you mean? No.
Literally, yeah. like it's one of those things where like I might want to go to one of these places to just like catch a glimpse of a hero I like, but like, is it worth it?
You're not gonna see Batman.
No, especially not like a nice my favorite DC character is Nightwing, and he's right over like across the pond in Bloodhaven, and Bloodhaven is notoriously one of the worst cities to live. Bloodhaven might be worse than Gotham.
What is it with like that area that's so dark?
But that's the thing though, is it's not all of it. It's the area that pertains to Batman, which is so funny because Gotham is this like shithole, and it's like always depicted as nasty and gross and grimy. And Metropolis, which is where Superman's from, is considered to be a sister city to Gotham, which means they're super close. They don't have for sure like how close, but like close enough.
Yeah, they definitely walked by and scoffed at Gotham.
Literally, they're like it's like Gotham is like it could be so much better because like Metropolis is right over there and is so nice and pretty and scenic, and then it's like Gotham looks like an emo who's been smoking like cigs for like 15 minutes straight,
from the view, the view of Gotham from Metropolis would be like that, like I don't know, like the fantasy cartoon where it's like that dark crazy castle in the background where like everything else is like fantasy and rainbows and la-di-da while you look over in the distance. We're like, we don't go there.
All right, the next one I got for you is the DCEU, specifically from the film Batman versus Superman.
Okay.
This one might take the cake as the worst one. This is grimy and gross. This shot is a little bit better, makes it look a little nicer, but it's still not.
Okay.
You can see that. In this one, there's literally lightning striking the ground in the background.
Yeah, I don't.
I think this is the worst one.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to be there at all. Any kind of day, any kind of like the lightning wasn't the thing that pushed me over. Like, and that's sad to say that lightning striking the ground.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing that can happen.
Was not the thing that was like, yeah, I'm not going there.
So next we have The Batman from 2022, I think 21. The movie, not the show. This is one of the ones in the opening shot. You want to talk about billboards? This one's got essentially its own version of Times Square.
Yeah, which is crazy because like you got to think about the introduction of billboards insinuate that there's tourism.
That's a really good point I didn't think about, which makes it like a more attractive city. A lot of time I think you're right. Is just it's so nasty, no one else wants to be there. But it could just be like it's just a little dirty.
Right.
Here's another shot. This one looks real nice.
Okay. Yeah, I would go there.
I agree. I think as far as the live action ones go, Batman. This is the shot from the end of the movie where it's like it's sunrise and he's looking out and everything.
That just looks like a great
I agree.
city to be.
I think as far as live action ones go, the Batman probably has the best Gotham.
I would agree.
Now the question is, do we think it's better than 66 or Beyond?
I agree. I think it is.
You think it's better than 66? Yeah. You think it's better than Beyond?
Both.
Damn, that puts it right square at number 1.
I think with everything that we talked about in general, like the introduction of the advertisements and in all that kind of stuff, it means that there's a lot of traffic out and about. That would insinuate that there are people walking the streets
who actually want to be there, who are coming for the sake of like, let's go to Gotham, as opposed to like they're stuck there because they live there for their whole life or whatever.
Right. I mean, if you are there just because you're stuck there, you're going to be going out to do the things that you need to do, and then you're going back home. That looks like it's something that there's people that are out and about and they're choosing to be out and about. Plus there's safety in numbers.
Yeah.
You know, you're not walking down an alley by yourself, and you're not going to feel very safe in that. But if you're walking down an alley with 10, 15 people, you're going to feel a lot more safe.
Yeah. The last one I got for you is Batman Caped Crusader.
Okay.
Which is a show that came out last year on Amazon Prime. It's supposed to be very similar style-wise to Batman the Animated Series. Mm-hmm. You can definitely see that. This is a shot. It's kind of hard to find pictures of Gotham from it, but this is a shot that I found. It kind of looks like it's got the same kind of architecture. It's not a lot of smog, not a lot of...
Yeah.
It's not very beat up. This is
looks
a shot...
a city at night.
Yeah. This is a shot of him in an alley, which would arguably be one of the nastiest, grossest places you can find yourself, and it actually looks pretty clean. Especially as far as Gotham standards go.
Yeah, that looks like it's fine. It's just a city at night.
Yeah, a shot of him on the roof. This is probably our best animated one. As far as the normal ones go. Would you like the normal or you like the Beyond more? Because I think that would determine whether or not this is 2 or 3. Because I think I would put it above 66 as well. But do we like the futuristic one more? Or do we
I like the futuristic one more. I think it implies a lot more, I don't know, a lot more amenities being in the future that would make the visit more satisfying.
All right, here's our completed list of the different Batman Gothams ranked from least livable to most livable. We have Batman vs. Superman at number 12. 11 has the Arkham games. Number 10 is Batman 89. Number 9 is the Schumacher films, Batman and Robin. Number 8 is the Dark Knight universe. Number 7 is Batman the Animated Series. Number 6 is Gotham the show. Number 5 is The Batman 2004. Number 4 is Batman 1966. Number 3 is Caped Crusader. Number 2 is Beyond. And number 1 is The Batman the movie.
Yes.
I think that was a fun little thing. The Batman has the most livable Gotham. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
A lot of people when that movie were coming out were saying that it looked like it was the best Gotham we'd ever gotten, and
which is fair. I mean, I'm coming into it very fresh, and my first gut feeling was like that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Well, yeah, that's it for our main topic. So the other section of the show, since we're episode 1 introducing this different segments, in order to branch out in our different little sections of nerd knowledge, the goal is for us to challenge each other every week with something that the other one has to look up, listen to, read, whatever the case may be, watch. I guess big one I missed. Yeah. But just something to challenge each other so we get kind of more reach into our nerd knowledge, right? Do you want to go first this week, or I'm host? Do you want me to talk about what you challenged me with first?
Absolutely. So I'm gonna go ahead and I challenged you. Mm-hmm. Obviously, in our little bit of a test episode we did last week, we ended up challenging each other with little things back and forth. And my challenge was solo leveling.
Yes,
you needed to catch yourself up and get up into where we're at now.
That's not what
basically.
you told me. You told me I needed to watch 4 episodes.
Yeah, basically,
and I did that.
That got you back up to where obviously you want
Yes.
in the dub.
I
think you
I'm
have one
missing,
more episode for a sub.
Yep.
But what'd you think?
No, there's one more dub out, and then there's 2 subs after that. From where I finished off.
Okay.
Dude, holy crap.
Yeah.
Dude, I love Solo Leveling. It's I think one of the first anime that I really got like into.
Mm-hmm.
Was really excited for season 2. We watched the movie that had come out, like the I saw online they're calling it an omnibus because it collects like all of season 1 and the first episode of season 2, which is really cool because that's as far as I know like a comic book term.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes off of a manga and a book as well.
Oh, I guess it makes sense. No, dude, when I was looking up the news, I found out Solo Leveling came from like a web comic. Did you know that? Solo Leveling started off as what was essentially like a Korean webtoon.
I did not.
Isn't that crazy? It's not even Japanese. It's a Korean property.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're based in South Korea. Like
are they?
Yeah, Solo Leveling is based in South Korea. Like
I didn't know that. I thought it was Japan. Every time they mention it in the show, they just say this country.
No, it's South Korea.
Huh? I did not know that.
Yeah, they have a whole thing between. You'll get into it, but
I guess I'm not there yet.
Yeah, no, the anime is not even into it. There's a whole thing between them and Japan. So
okay,
yeah, you'll get into it with Jeju Island.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So the episodes that I watched, I'm caught up to what was the last thing I saw? I think it was the episode where they take down they go with this other group that take down this dungeon, and then he goes in to mine the ore or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I can beat this boss, but I'm not gonna because I'll trap everybody in here.
Yeah.
Close the gate, whatever. But it keeps being consistently good every time because we watched 2 episodes of the course of 2 nights. Yeah. Like each night we did 2 episodes, and every time it was just like, I want to watch the next one.
Yeah.
It just keeps you hooked. It's so good, and he's making a lot of progress, which is a problem I kind of had with anime when I got started with it, is that a lot of the time it seems just like to drag. Mm-hmm. But Solo Leveling does a really good job at just progressing the story at a reasonable rate. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to see what comes next. Yeah,
I agree. I think there's a nice pacing to it as part of the story wise goes. Some people are making a lot of memes about it being too quick. And I think that goes into saying how well and how great the show is, because you're locked the fuck in. Mm-hmm. You know, part of my French, but you're locked in. Like it's crazy how, you know, an episode feels like it starts and it's over.
Yeah.
Just like that.
But it doesn't feel like, in my opinion, even though they feel kind of quick, it doesn't feel like you're not getting enough. Like when I finish an episode, I feel like, dang, that was a good episode. I got what I wanted from that. You know?
You haven't got to the cliffhangers yet.
Oh, don't say that.
There's a couple episodes you're getting to that there's some pretty significant cliffhangers. But yeah, mana crystals. That's what they're mining inside the dungeons. And essentially I love how in this instance, and I know we're basically talking about season 2 of a very, very popular anime, and there are spoilers in this, so spoiler warning as it would be. Basically how he is so powerful now, he's comfortable.
Oh yeah,
doing those things.
Since you're up the spoiler warning, I did just get to the part where he went and finally got reevaluated, and he like broke the system. Mm-hmm. So even though he's just like, he's still not even powerful enough to take on the top of this like demon tower thing, he's already S rank.
Yeah.
So like he's still progressing and is already past what is known to be the most powerful a one can be.
Yeah.
And we're only at season 2. Mm-hmm. So that's really interesting as to like, well, how much stronger can he really even get? Apparently a lot.
Well, that's the thing. So as the reevaluation in it took me a couple different times in reading it, because I'm currently reading the books. I'm like I'm past a lot of this stuff. But to be considered an S rank is to be unmeasurable by their means. Mm-hmm. So within S rank, there's so many different levels of power. Like
that's a good point, because it wasn't the guy who was interviewing with like I'm so bad with names in anime. He's like this all scarred up one who like offers him a place, and he has like the gray hair. in
yeah.
hospital.
The president go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was also S rank, but like he was the inner monologue was like, dude, if I challenge this guy, he can kick my ass.
Mhm.
Even though our guy is like Genu. I know he's like super powerful.
But no, there's something else that I just got to in the book about
Him
that is I didn't know, and I'm loving it. We'll have a conversation about it.
I'm sure we will. You are
but I'm
very excited.
So excited about it.
Okay,
because
cool.
like I've been in the story here and there, and this just like one of those aha click moments. I was like, oh.
So it's like they've already set the keys for it. We just haven't picked up on it yet.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
well, now that I know there's something to look for,
so,
you think without spoiling anything, do you think that now that I know there's something to look for, I could figure it out before they reveal it?
No.
Okay.
No. And that's the thing. Like there's a lot of it that like he's very strong, but he actually awakened his powers past his prime. That's why he's really big in like
didn't they say he's like 80?
Power. Like he's I think he's in his 80s, and he has like a heart problem. In the book it goes into like his heart problems. In the anime it didn't really do too much of that, at least not
as far as I've seen.
Yeah, but in the book they actually talked about why he was at the hospital. It was because he was having heart problems too.
Oh yeah, they don't say that. They make it really seem like the reason he's at the hospital is for the sole fact of trying to talk to Genu.
It's very similar, but to go back into that, did you catch the fact that why they told him that there was like a reevaluation like grace period? Did you get?
I caught that there was one, but I wasn't because I figured out like he was doing the E rank stuff because he was still technically E rank.
Yeah,
which kind of like because when we were watching together, my girlfriend was like, you know, how was he able to do this? Didn't they just say he was S rank? Well, they said there was a grace period, but I didn't catch as to why there was one.
The administration, whenever they do the evaluation and they find someone that's S rank, they have this grace period before it's launched out to the guilds because they want first grab at the new S rank heroes. So it's all a formality
to give him time to prepare for being grasped at.
No, it gives it. There's a grace period so that the association of South Korea, the Hunters Association of South Korea, can have their first shot at recruiting an S rank.
Okay.
Because in that instance, if Jinwoo would go to any other guild, the system of power would tilt. Then that one guild would have too much power.
Yeah.
But the association only has the president, who is an S rank, and then A rank heroes or A rank hunters.
I thought they said that the leader of each faction was an S rank.
This is something that the Hunter Association is separate from the guilds.
Oh, okay.
So they only have their president, and then their like task force is A ranks. They're still high rank hunters, but that's just it. But there's so many things going on in the background that as you go further on in solo leveling, and I'm so excited to see A, it animated, and B, to progress the story so we can talk about it more.
Dude, speaking of great story, can't wait to see it adapted. I challenged you to read trade paperback number 1 of Invincible.
Oh my god, I watched this show. I loved it. There's so many freaking differences between the comic and the show that it kind of gave me whiplash. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah,
I was like,
I had that first too
because I was expecting Guardians of the Globe to be murked.
Yeah.
Like I was like, where? Like, and then like there was a portion where the Maulers came in, but it was with the team.
Yeah,
and not with Guardians of the Globe at the beginning when they were like storming the, I think it was White House.
Yeah, they were storming the Capitol.
Yeah. Like what? So like there was a lot with that, and then like,
do you think the Maulers are gonna get pardoned?
Well, Not if Oliver has anything to say about it.
You know what? Good point.
But going into that, there was a lot of like really weird things that like in the show, Omni-Man was like super worried about Mark not getting his powers.
Or
he was
vice
a late
versa.
bloomer. He was a late bloomer.
He was more so, I think, worried about him getting his powers because he knew that him getting his powers had to end his facade on Earth. And I think something that the show does really well is kind of showing Nolan's like fight with his duty, because he feels like he's obligated. He's a Viltrumite. He has to do that.
Right.
But the more time he spends on Earth, he feels guilty for it almost. Like he doesn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But he's so loyal to the Viltrumite Empire that he does it anyway.
Which is
Um,
something that I would never understand.
No, but that's kind of the point, though, is that like that whole society of people is just if you're weak, you die. Period. And
Right.
as humans, obviously, we have a lot more empathy than that. You know, there are people that maybe in their eyes deserve to die that we'll keep alive for who knows how long.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. Like I can understand because like we step on bugs.
Literally, yeah. And I mean, comparatively, like you wouldn't think twice about stepping on an ant, which is probably what it feels like to them.
Right.
You know,
which is fair. I mean, there's some things that we can't really put ourselves into their shoes.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like to go into the point in the comic, it almost seemed like Omni-Man was nonchalant about it. Like he didn't care. Like he was kind of like,
I don't think they do a very good job in the comic of setting up the betrayal, which I think is kind of the point.
Right.
Because the comic originally, when it came out in 2003, was meant to be like a play on superhero tropes. And the idea of, which obviously everyone knows now, is Invincible is kind of simultaneously a love letter to superhero media and also a critique of it.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, you know, there are a lot of things that happen where they'll make fun of a lot of typical superhero stuff. And the point of the comic, at least, because the first trade that you read collects the first 4 issues of the comic, right?
Okay.
And the whole Omni-Man twist doesn't happen until issue 7. So the first 6 issues are really just like, look at this fun superhero comic. Isn't it crazy watching him trying to learn the world of being a superhero, which is very standard superhero comic stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the show adapted the Omni-Man twist so much quicker. Of you get one episode of zany superhero world, and then boom, the Guardians are crushed and brutally murdered.
Right.
You know, and I think that that's a much better way, because I think and I got a video I'm actually working on right now about Invincible and being an adaptation.
Excited.
But I think that's what makes the show do such a good job at kind of critiquing stuff. Is issue 1 came out over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
First of all, since then, the comic book has been completely completed. It's been completed. So they have all the retrospective, everything that's going to happen to go back and kind of tweak stuff, which is why I think the Nolan stuff works much better in the show, because they know what his story is like, his character arc, his progression, and where he ends up in the comic. You know, as opposed to like, you know, you're writing it for the first time. Maybe at issue 1, maybe you had planned up to like issue 20, but you didn't know where he'd be in issue like 70.
Right.
You know, so you kind of had that retrospective working with everything as opposed to coming up with it as you go. And also learning a lot. I mean, Robert Kirkman, the guy who wrote it, since then he obviously did The Walking Dead as well, and that blew up way before Invincible did. And I think it had, 16 seasons or whatever? I'm a big fan of the comic. I haven't checked out the show yet. But obviously they did a whole lot of stuff differently in there too, learned a lot of different lessons about what to adapt, how to adapt it, what to change, you know, and then brought the lessons they learned from The Walking Dead to Invincible.
Right. And I think there's definitely an aspect of it where, you know, you kind of have to, your fan base that loves this needs to have some sort of surprise.
Absolutely.
So that's, you know, if you're invested enough into it to know the whole thing, to collect the comics, to collect everything like that, to have Funko Pops on your desk, you want to have something that you can enjoy again, and not have an idea of exactly how the story is going to go. And I feel like if I were to read the comics before I watched that first episode, I would still be very excited.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that I'm like, oh, I already know what's going to happen.
Exactly. I think that's part of the reason why I think Invincible is such a good adaptation, is that like it's pretty much the exact same story with a slight few changes of where certain things happen, but the way that it tells the story, as somebody who's read the whole comic twice now, I'm on my 3rd read. Yeah. still watching these new episodes as they come out, it's like, oh, that's different than how it happened in the comic. Oh, they're doing this part, and especially season 1 is so much different than the comics that they adapt to that season. As season 2 and 3 have progressed so far, they're getting a lot more close, and I think that's part of what's about the learning from and growing as a writer is the first. Like I said, the first couple issues of Invincible are kind of a drag. You know, I think that the part that you read had the plot with the teacher that turned the kids into bombs.
Yes.
Not in the show at all.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was necessary. I think what is nice from that is Mark and Eve spending a lot of time together, them kind of growing as friends, is maybe one of the things that was lost in the show. But aside from that, it wasn't needed.
I honestly feel a little bit differently about that. Because I think it allows the communication of it being, I don't know, somewhat brutal to be put in there. I mean, to have Mark toss this kid into the sky because, well, he didn't have enough time.
That's true. And what I like too is that, like, as time goes on, they draw more attention to things like that because, especially where we're at right now in season 3 of the show, he's really, really fighting with what it means to take a life.
Yes. And
how as a superhero, sometimes it might be necessary when there's no other option. And here in the first part of the comic, he is literally throwing children to their death.
Right. And that's the thing.
That's not true because Omni-Man does that. He throws the kid in the mall up. Mark throws up the teacher, which you could make the argument he could care less, or he could, no, I don't want to say care less about, but, you know, is a little more justified because he's not necessarily a victim. He's the one who did all that. But like, same thing. He didn't kill a bunch of people because he just didn't want to kill just because they were bad doesn't mean they deserve to die.
Right.
Like D.A. Sinclair. He goes on this whole thing in the opener of season 3 about, you know, Sinclair he's evil. He tormented my friend. And then later when he's talking to Rick about it, he's like, well, maybe I should have killed him. He's like, well, that's not who you are.
Right.
You know, and in the comic, it's like, oh, this guy got bombed. Doesn't even, he could have ripped it off. Like, he didn't know how it worked. Maybe if he ripped the bomb off, it would have killed him, but it would have been better than just throwing him to his demise, you know?
Right. You know, one is the lack of effort, while the other one is like, I'm gonna try.
Exactly, yeah. And I said another thing of retrospect they change in the show is I think the way they're working with his arc of killing his bad into, like, it's not so black and white is super interesting. And handled very well, I think.
Yeah, and that also is like, this is all with a big spoiler warning sticker stamped right to it.
Yeah, I guess we didn't really say that at the beginning.
But
I mean, you did say we're talking about the first volume of the comic.
Yeah,
and I guess the show.
Well, this is going to be more of a season 3 thing with Oliver. Dude gets it sooner than Mark does. Like, he's a little bit more, like,
his experience is also much different, and on top of that, he's also a child who isn't fully developed yet, even more so than a normal child his age, because he's not a normal child his age. He's like, what, 3 months old, maybe like 6 months old or something like that. But the way that he ages is a lot faster, you know. So even though he's kind of got that, his idea of what maturity is, he is still a child, you know. So that's why he's like, well, killing is necessary when you gotta kill a bad guy, when it isn't always that black and white, you know. But that also circles back to the Cecil argument debate of, like, what's the point in keeping him alive if you're not going to make him try and do better?
Right.
Why do you
throw him in a prison to not be able to take like not be able to take advantage of the resources that this person who's
not even necessarily take advantage. Like, if you're looking at it from a purely, like, Mark's point of view is it's black and white, which obviously we know isn't the case, and Cecil is, like, working in this gray area. But for Mark, it's black and white. So if it's as simple as kill them or keep them alive, why wouldn't you try to rehabilitate them and turn them into a better person? Obviously, he believes it's possible because he let his dad do it.
Right.
He was like, oh, you're actually a good guy now. I'm going to read your books. But then Darkwing shows up. He's like, dude, I went through a mental break, and, like, I did some horrible things that I really need to like earn my respect back for. Like
no.
And he's like, prison. Yeah, you're a murderer. You need to be in jail. You be locked up. You dumb bitch. I'm invincible. It's exactly what he sounds like. Yeah, title card. But no, yeah, I just think it's super interesting. Really good debate. And
to go back to like just the actual thing of it all, like it just I'm loving just the difference, and I appreciate the suggestion for it because like I do love Invincible. Like you put me on to it even before.
Isn't it the greatest?
It's really great, and I'm really sad that I haven't enjoyed it longer than I have.
I feel the same way.
But like they're just seeing the differences, and like there's little references. I don't know if like you caught it or if I'm just out here picking out of the air, but his first suit had little patches on it that got power from the sun.
Yeah,
because he thought he was like Superman.
Yes, and I think that's super cool. Even cooler thing, did you notice what that suit was?
Mm-mm.
The suit that Mark wears that has the solar panels on it is bulletproof suit.
Okay.
Who comes later. The idea, and they say it better in the show, because in the show, Art Rosenbaum, the guy who makes him, he's like, oh, you can't blame a guy for trying to sell unsold product. And then later in season 2, when Bulletproof's introduced, he's wearing that suit.
That makes sense.
So the idea is like he tried to sell it to Mark, and Mark was like, this sucks. So then he's trying to sell it to Bulletproof. He's like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm bulletproof. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Because like none of that was in the show.
What, him put on that suit?
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
That's what I'm talking about. He puts on the bulletproof suit in the show, and then Art's like, you can't blame a guy for trying to sell unsold product.
I didn't remember that, but I also watched it.
I also watched it very recently just because I wanted to prepare for season 3, so I might just be like, it might be a little more like close to my memory.
Yeah, cut that.
But I think we're getting to a point where it's getting ready to wrap up. I think it's time that we challenge each other.
Yes. For
this following week. I think there's not a whole lot going on right now that we cause a differ. I'm just gonna go ahead and challenge you to read volume 2 of the Invincible comic.
Fantastic. I'm changing it up.
Okay.
I want you to watch the first 4 episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Okay. I'm actually really excited for that. I almost a year ago checked out I think the first 2 or 3 episodes, and I really liked it, but that's as far as I got. I'm not gonna lie, I was pirating it, and I didn't want to do that because it was giving my Xbox ads. So, but I'll totally game for that. I'll totally try it out.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be because you can't really
to be clear, I have Crunchyroll now, and I don't have to. I'm a good boy.
Good boy. But no, I think it gives you a little bit more of diversity. You know,
so just watching the whole thing. The whole time.
There's a lot of really good anime out there right now, and I mean there's a lot of the popular ones, you know, like the Jujutsu Kaisen, the Demon Slayer, and everything like that. And with you being so new to anime, I mean, tried and true, they're wonderful, they're great right now. There's still a lot of media,
and they're ones that's coming out now. Because I know, as someone who's not been super into it for a long time, like I know at some point I'm gonna have to go and watch like Naruto. And things like that, the standard, the classics, but like Jujutsu Kaisen is still coming out, right? Yeah. So it's like once I'm caught up, I can actually watch it when it's happening.
And it's not as big. Like right now,
like you put me on to Dan, dude. Dan is
wonderful.
Freaking awesome. I'm waiting so impatiently for season 2, dude.
Yeah, Dan's probably one of my favorites too. But and the reason I'm giving you more of the popular newer ones is because like you said, Naruto, that's a couple hundred episodes.
Dang.
Naruto Shippuden are it's a long series. I mean, I've watched all of it. I can tell you to watch One Piece.
I won't.
It's over 1,000 episodes.
I'm not even necessarily worried about the length of One Piece because if I liked it enough, I could definitely lock in and do that. But you were watching One Piece. I don't know if you're still watching it or not.
Yeah, I still watch One Piece.
And a couple times we've hung out. I've sat and kind of watched a couple episodes, and dude, nothing happens in that show.
It's a lot of filler. Yeah,
there's so much. Like in the I think 4 or 5 episodes that were on when we were hanging out that one time. I think they were on some kind of island, and all they did was jump a wall, and then Luffy started fighting the guy on top of the wall in 5 episodes.
Yeah.
That's bonk. No wonder it's the longest running. You'd have to watch 100 episodes just for the story to go anywhere.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I'm watching it purely because I do like it a little bit. It's not my favorite of all. You
just want to take on the challenge.
Big 3, but I've watched all of Bleach up until the 1,000-Year Blood War. That's still going on right now, and I fucking hate it. I've watched all of Naruto. and then this is the big three of like my generation, you know. So I'm kind of committed to watching all of it, so I can say I've watched all of the big three.
That's fair.
And I think I'm
That's
like
fair.
I think I'm like
weird.
700 or 800 episodes into One Piece.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah. 4 episodes of Jujutsu
Kaisen. You have volume 2
Volume
of
2.
Invincible. Trade paperbacks, to be clear, because
Yes.
there's a lot of different ways that we read Invincible.
Yeah.
I think that brings us to the end of our show. So episode 1, we'll bring this out a little bit. I'm not going to reveal the list. What we did is in our locked away hidden episode, our main topic was getting a list together for what we're going to call Roll for Ending.
Yes.
Where I have here a D20. We have 20 different things that could happen depending on the number that's rolled. And it'll be a surprise for the viewers, the listeners.
Yeah.
But we know what the list is. I'm going to roll this D20, and that's how we're going to end the episode.
Yeah. So let's roll for ending.
Roll for ending! What's number 11? Number 11 is the radio host sign off, which I haven't really thought out at all.
But that's great. That means we're unprepared, and this is going to be improvised. Like it's going to be wonderful.
You've been listening to the Variety Voiceover Podcast. Don't forget to tune in next week where we're going to be talking about more nerd stuff.
Thank you for stopping in, and we appreciate you listening.
Don't forget your candy on the way out.
Yes, because candy is notoriously radio
If you're listening
show.
to the Variety Voiceover, you're awesome. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.